important that I address the young postgraduates who are perhaps listening, and perhaps young faculty also are there. And we discuss a very important thing which is still emerging in India is publication and clinical research. So my short presentation is about that. Now, Tata Memorial Center, where I work, is a Government of India hospital which comes under Department of Atomic Energy, and we register around 70,000 new cancer cases every year. And we train around, in my unit, I'm a head neck surgeon, so I train around 200 students in my unit. And we have a huge burden of people coming here, and we have a huge waiting list. Now, we may take pride in saying that we are a busy center, we have a long waiting list, but at the same time, we have to convert this challenge into an opportunity. And that opportunity is to do more clinical research, because to have a treatment naive group of patients in any part of the world, we are very privileged and we are blessed. And therefore, conducting clinical research is very easy, and which is very proper. And I would say that since our patients are different from any part of the world, rather than following what is happening in rest of the world, we conduct our own validation of those outcomes and conduct our own clinical research. And as you see that something happened in last 8 or 10 years in Tata Memorial Center, where we are having more publication in Lancet, NEJM, British Medical Journal, and Journal of Clinical Oncology. So how we are inculcating the practice of publication and research is what I'm going to speak. So there are two kinds of medical professionals. One are the publishers, and publisher as in good quality publication and research publication, and then there are followers. So the choice is between being a publisher or a followers for the all younger generation, and this is the choice that they have to exercise. And I'm sure everybody would like to be the leader. Now, these are the 10 things that I always teach my doctors, my junior doctors, my junior faculty, that the 10 things are: attentive, you have to brainstorm and bold, collaborate, delegate, electronic medical records, funds. So I'm going to talk about all of these individually. Now, one of the examples that I give is to be attentive. Clinical examination has got no substitute. Being very observant also has no substitute. And one of the things that as a head and neck surgeon, we observe that there are two kinds of oral cancer patients: those who come with submucous fibrosis and those who do not have submucous fibrosis. Okay, so one is that we have to be attentive. And when we say attentive, if you see this clinical picture of submucous fibrosis with oral cancer, certainly the background is betel nut or areca nut. And what we found in our observation, that those patients who have areca nut as a cause of their oral cancer, they are biologically different, they are clinically different. And we found, just like human papilloma virus, the cancers coming from the human papilloma virus background, they are different from other cancers from the tobacco pathway. And similarly, the cancers coming from the areca nut pathway are different from those coming from tobacco pathway. And this came just because of an observation that dictated further research. And that allowed us to create a whole new terminology of Gutka syndrome or Gutka hearing. And these are all the repercussions of having areca nut in India. And this disease will not be known in any part of the world, because this habit is unique to India, and therefore this is a unique problem for us. The second question and second thing that we need to ask ourselves every time, that sometimes as students we inherit what our bosses were doing, our seniors were doing, and we need to challenge those dogmas, and we need to question our seniors that why those things are being done. For example, we have been doing frozen section for donkey's year. Every specimen that was removed was sent to the pathology frozen section, and we always relied that frozen section is useful. But having read the literature and by our own experience, we realized that no, frozen section does not help the patient, but perhaps frozen section helps the surgeon prevent embarrassment with close margin in the final report. With that background, we took a bold decision that let us challenge that frozen section is not useful. And to challenge, we have the alternative of cross examination with a metallic scale. And we proved that yes, gross examination is a suitable alternative to frozen section. And later on, we showed that patients who do not undergo frozen section, where a surgeon is able to achieve 7 millimeter of clear margin by gross examination by metallic scale, there is no additional benefit of doing frozen section. And now we are embarking on the randomized control trial. So you may get an idea, and whenever you get an idea, go on the Google search, discuss with your friends, brainstorm, and if there is substance in it, then you should go ahead and do these studies. Similarly, TNM's classification or any kind of staging, you should realize that our patients are different, and therefore the TNM may not be the best way of triaging the patients into different categories, and perhaps publications like these are simple, but they can have a bearing on the management of cancer in different parts of the world. The third C is collaborate. Many a times you might realize that you do not have the basic research laboratory, you do not have statistician, you do not have the technical support to conduct the clinical research. In that situation, I would suggest that in your city, reach out to the other institutions, other laboratories, other centers, other colleges, where facilities might exist. So basically, you will have the tissue, you will have the patient, and you will have the idea, and you can collaborate with other centers where these things are not there, but they have the technology or maybe the basic research laboratory, and this collaboration always works. Say, for example, we found a very landmark idea that are gingival sulcus cancer different from other cancer? We collaborated. We may not have the in-house capability, but once we collaborated, we had this publication. Similarly, this is for the lymph node metastasis. We found mutational signatures which predict which cancers will metastasize and which will not. Again, this came out of collaboration rather than in-house expertise. D stands for delegate. Now, many of us do not realize that the best attribute of a leader is not to do things themselves, but delegate. And as famously said, when you delegate tasks, you create followers. And when you delegate authority, you create leaders. As teachers, as mentors, we are supposed to create leaders. And we are privileged and happy if we have followers. So if you see my resume, I have more than 300 publications. Very rarely my name will be there as a first author. Because if you delegate responsibility, then you also have to give the authorship to the deserving people. And one thing that I have always done in my career is not to become the first author, but rather allow the youngsters to become the first author so that they remain motivated to write papers. Next is E, that is electronic medical record. When this was introduced in Tata Memorial Center, there was a lot of resistance amongst the doctors. We felt that we don't have time to fill the electronic record. We don't have the manpower to do that. But somehow we prevailed, and our youngsters and we ourselves started filling the electronic medical record. And let me tell you, this is the best thing that we did. And now I would recommend every hospital that they should invest in EHR or EMR, because this is a very good investment, not only for litigations, not only for documentation on accreditation, but also for writing publication and doing clinical research. F stands for funds. Now, many of us believe that funds are essential for any research. That is not true. What you need to create in every hospital or every institution, what we did in Tata Memorial Center, was to create a clinical research secretariat. You give the manpower by having the certain people sitting in the secretariat who will assist the students in their clinical research work. But what is most important in Tata Memorial Center, which you'll realize, that majority of our studies are not pharma sponsored, not sponsored by any agency, but they are investigator initiated. That means our clinicians are generating hypotheses, our clinicians are writing up the research protocol, and we are funding them to accomplish those. Now, investigator initiated protocols are good because they define the clinical problem that you are facing and possible solution for them, rather than those studies which are pharma funded or agency funded where there are commercial interest. And in investigator initiated study, we have the academic interest. And as I say that when you have these investigator initiated ideas, sometimes we can have a very landmark papers like this with zero money required. Only you have to dig into the electronic records. You have to sit with the staff, the statistician, and the clinical research methodology experts and work with them to come up with such beautiful publications. This is also one paper where international community will never be interested. But if this is a problem that we are facing with locally advanced cancer, where surgery is not possible, giving induction chemotherapy and operating them certainly is something that is needed for the Indian population, and that is how such patient papers can come. The next G stands for the disease management group. One thing that I have realized in many medical colleges and in many hospitals, that everybody wants to do everything. And when everybody does everything, then you step on the toes of your colleagues. And that is where the fight starts. That is where the jealousy starts. That is where the difference of opinions starts. Because if everybody does everything, certainly everybody will not become master of their specialty. And what we did in Tata Memorial Hospital was we insisted that every surgeon has to choose his own specialty. You can't do multiple things. And that is how we have the strict specialization. And when you do that strict specialization within the disease management group, there is no competition with anyone. There is no fighting with anyone. You own the data, you manage the data, and you publish without treading on the toes of your colleagues. The next thing that I always feel that as doctors, the true metrics of measurement of success of any doctor is not the car he possesses or the bungalow or the cloth that he wears, but is the H index. And H index is an author level metric that measures both the productivity and citation impact of the publication. That means you have not only published, you have been cited. And based on that, you will have the H index. So true measure of an individual doctor or a surgeon is how much H index has. And at the end, what is most important and which is slowly lacking in medical colleges, I'm sorry to say that, and in many government-run hospitals, that there is a lack of integrity. What happens that our medical colleges are the nursery for the future doctors and the future generation of surgeons. And we as doctors are the role models. And when we say we are the role models, these are the youngsters who emulate us, who try to copy us, who try to follow us. And unless we have the integrity of thoughts, integrity of conduct, integrity of publication, integrity in academics, our future generation will learn bad things from us. And unless that integrity is brought in medical colleges, our future generation of doctors are not going to be the perfect. And when I say integrity, I say the success of a person is not in how much wealth he possesses, but in the integrity and ability to positively affect people around him. And medical colleges, most doctors are not taking rounds in the evening. They are not spending time with the youngsters, and that leads to a bit of disillusionment amongst our younger generation about what to follow and what is the best practice. And in the last, this is my last slide, that the joy of doctor is not ability to treat patient who is sitting in front of you, but ability to treat a patient even when we are dead and gone. That means if you really want to live beyond your current life, what remains in the world is your publication and the research that you have done. Therefore, doing research, doing publication actually gives a purpose. And that purpose will always be remembered by everyone, the future generation, even when we are not there. And we must realize that if we want to become a leader, if we want to become a clinician of repute, and that will understand when you understand that you are born to make an impact, not to just live. And therefore, we all clinicians